Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gents. Welcome back to Hightop Sports. In today's episode on Sundays, if you guys are new to the show, what we do is we recap. We have our call-in show after the game, that initial reaction, I sleep on it. Then we give you the breakdown of what happened yesterday. We got Rob Roberts calling from the box. He makes a kind of aggressive comment, I would say, about the team. We break down some PFF scores. Thanks to Brandon Olson on Twitter. He breaks down the kind of the best defensive and offensive players, kind of get into UCF a little bit, what's expected of that. And then Napier in his press conference yesterday, which if you watched the live, showed a little pizzazz that we're going to talk about as well. But first order of business, I mean, we gotta say what happened, right? We got to give credit to where credit is due. Florida gets it done. They get the W, 45-28, going to Mississippi State on the road, which Florida historically with Billy Napier at the helm have not done well on the road. So this is very exciting for the Florida Gators, and we should, I've said it yesterday, enjoy the win, celebrate the win. It's very easy for us to be not happy with how, everything went on the football field, but we're in a place where we've got to kind of take where we can get it, okay? And a W yesterday felt really good. A stressless, stress-free Saturday is what I said yesterday. Was very nice to have. I thought it was going to be a perfect Saturday if Miami could have maybe tripped up, or FSU, but those two were able to get it done as well. So not the perfect Saturday, but a good Saturday nonetheless. Offensively, Graham Mertz played impeccable. I think he was like 18 for 21 yards to over 200 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. DJ Lagway was 7 for 7 for 56 yards, I believe. Ran the ball effectively across all the chords with Trayon Webb, Montreal Johnson, Jaden Ball, and Jacoby Jackson. I kind of mentioned it a few times yesterday. I mean, it looks like we've got a number one lead back taking the helm here, and that's in Trayon Webb with 8 carries for 41 yards, 30 yards after the catch. He had 73.2% total yards. Again, shout out to Brandon Olson per PFF. And Montreal, 15 carries with 66. So Trayon Webb was more impactful with 8 carries compared to Montreal's 15 carries, and he had a fumble. And I know a big thing last year with Trevor Etienne not getting the 1 reps was because of his pass blocking, right? Which we all have seen it. We could argue that. Now, obviously, he's having no issues at Georgia as the number 1 back pass blocking. However, Trayon Webb has been exceptional in the times that I've seen him when he's needed to pass block. He levels these kids. So at this point, again, it goes back to, what a lot of people have been saying this entire time. He's just sticking with his guys, especially when it comes to coaching. We're going to get into coaching here in just a moment with Rob Sell and such not. But ultimately, very ecstatic that Florida was able to get the W. Graham Mertz looked himself, the Graham Mertz that we saw glimpses of last year, and I would say consistently throughout the time, just consistent, didn't make any mistakes, and we're hoping to see that earlier on in the year, especially against Florida or Miami and A&M. So we did not, unfortunately. But again, good to see him find a rhythm. We go into a bye week, which is going to be a busy bye week. Going to be an important one. But let's take a look at this. So shout out again to Brandon Olson from Locked On Gators. So he broke down the top 10 defensive players and top 10 offensive players. I like looking at this for a couple of reasons. Just to, we have an eye test of what we feel does well. And then obviously the numbers support that. Jade Robinson, linebacker, true sophomore, was all over the football field yesterday. Glad to see that his numbers were there. Pup Howard, I continue to say, is the best guy on the football field. Sophomore transfer from South Carolina. Tricrest Bridges, again, he's the only one that showed a lot of spark. Last week against A&M, we saw him get that targeting foul with the butt fumble, I guess you can call it, where he, tackled him at the butt and got ejected for targeting. But up to that was all over the football field, just explosive, looked fantastic. Brian Taylor Jr., transfer from JUCO, coming in doing great things. Obviously, great score there. Kelby Collins, who we've been kind of clamoring for, where has he been on that defensive line? Transferred from the edge to that D line this year. Obviously, does well. Justice Boone had 68.4 on defensive line, but we'll get into the snaps because I said it yesterday. I was like, I feel like this guy was nowhere to be found. He had 19 snaps compared to Tyreek Snap, who clearly is a starter on that F spot or jack spot, whatever it may be. I think Tyreek had like 34 or 38 snaps. So it's definitely Tyreek Sapp's position. And again, this goes back to my question, and even Andy Staples brought it up because when Princely left to Ole Miss, people were like, "We're going to be good," and Andy raised the question, goes, "Well, who did we replace Princely with?" And all of us were arguing, myself included, were like, "Well, Justice Boone. Justice Boone gets the number 1 jersey. This guy must be turning heads come spring camp." But he loses the job to Tyreek Sapp week three into it. I think he lost probably week 2. So, and that's what he brings up because like, well, that falls on coaching, right? Because why aren't they able to decipher like, hey, this is an issue, this is a place of need, and we got to fix it. Now, he is coming back from injury. Could that be a factor? I don't know. These things, we haven't heard those things. But Justice Boone was anticipated to have a big year. Now, again, score is very high, very limited snap time. TJ Searcy, He had great snap time. Jack Pyburn was up there, the same as Justice Boone for snap time, and Miles Graham at 6.3. So good to see our true freshman linebacker be up there as well. Three linebackers, two of them that being Derek Wingo and Shamar James, the two leaders in the room. So interesting thing to look at there. Here is the offensive side of the ball. The O-line was incredible yesterday. And as much as I want to give them kudos, and I will, I think that D-line, there's a clip that I shared on my Twitter, but that D-line looked like they were lost in the sauce at times. So could we maybe be a little inflated on the O-line? Maybe, but I think this goes to we saw some bright spots over the last few weeks, and they've talked about moving these guys around. Okay. Bryce Lovett, obviously, been waiting on him. He's one of Rob Sale's targets, recruits. I think he's a sophomore, I believe, 80.7. You see Devin Manuel, the transfer that came in from Arkansas, 77.4. Again, he plays at left tackle alongside Austin Barber. Those two, I think, about it, had the same amount of snaps. I'll take a look at that in just a moment. And you see Austin Barber with a 70.6. He also had a rushing touchdown, which was great for him. And then Cam Waits moved from that right tackle position where he was getting absolutely obliterated and move him inside into that guard position. And we see the difference at 72.9. So glad to see that he's not being wasted. And then Crenshaw again on that right tackle with 67.7. Our top 10 players, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got a top 10 offensive players be on the line. You love seeing that. You love seeing that, which allowed for our running backs, all four of them, to have a successful day. Obviously, for Mertz and DJ Lagway, you see that what they were able to do when they had time. Those things excite me. I think we could have put up 50 if Billy had more of a killer mentality. I also think if the defense got off the football field multiple more occasions, we would have had the ball more because time of possession, we were 4 minutes less than Mississippi State. Right? That defense is able to shut things down and get the ball. As they did the first few possessions, they had some spunk to them. Who knows what we could have done? That offense was really clicking yesterday. I would have loved to see a few more reps from both quarterbacks. We just didn't get the ball too much. And speaking, we'll get into that defense too of where it lacked that luster. A lot of people on the call-in show and people kind of wrote about this as well too. I saw that big D-line stop, a goal line stand from the defense was very exciting. It was really the only time that defense showed some spark, showed some pizzazz. That defense, that fire that we've been earning for the last, I would say, forever, it seems at this point. I do want to go over snap count. This is from Nick Del Toro on 3. It's interesting to me because we rotate a lot, we sub a lot. So, and we're always wondering, like, well, where's so-and-so? Where's this person at? DJ Douglas, who got absolutely thrashed on the call-in show. I mean, everybody who called in made a point to say DJ Douglas is the worst safety in Florida history, was top 10 in snaps, had 40 snaps. And so it's like, what are you seeing that we're not seeing? You know what I mean? Like, if you've got a consensus of people where, like, DJ Douglas is constantly being burned, constantly being in the wrong spot, there's a full breakdown. This isn't to shit on DJ Douglas by any stretch of the imagination. It's more so just bringing into question, again, what Ron Roberts is up in the box. What are you seeing? Shouldn't there be like a, hey, pull this guy out? Again, when we go back to this defensive line, we go back to the top 10 guys. Again, minimum of 10 snaps. So you take that into consideration. Tricrest Bridges had 50 snaps. Great. Obviously being up there. Brian Taylor, though, when you see his score, 17 snaps. 17 snaps for Brian Taylor. Justice Boone, 19 snaps. Miles Graham, 11 snaps. So just over the minimum of threshold there. But you can see it's like the guys that have a high score according to PFF just weren't on the football field. Again, Tyreek Sapp, 40 snaps. Grayson Howard, 43. Love seeing him. Sharif Denson, true sophomore cornerback, had the most snaps with 84 snaps in 95 plays. I mean, kudos to him. There was times where he kind of looked a little flat-footed, got beep, and then there was times where he made big plays. So it's like maybe kind of toned down the snap play a little bit for him. Jason Marshall continues to do great things. I think he's really paid off his dividends by coming back for this last year. George Gums, 36 snaps. Bryce Thornton, safety as well, 55 snaps. Devin Moore, 65 snaps. Cornerbacks obviously can play a little more time. They're not being burned. Cam Jackson, 35. I feel like Cam was kind of quiet. Didn't see much of him yesterday, but Big Dez, 27. Feels like Big Dez is in there for a lot more than 27 snaps. But just, again, a lot of things. It's fun to look at and kind of break all those things down. Let's talk about Ron Roberts. So Ron Roberts was not on the sidelines. I was kind of running around yesterday. Also, Stoltz, shout out to him on Twitter, said he didn't see them. So I reached out to Cam, go, hey, what are we hearing? Do you know what's going on? Was confirmed that he was up in the box. No Austin Armstrong on the sideline though. So I don't understand it. We haven't heard much from Callaway either. I If I would believe those two guys are also up in the box, given they're not on the sideline. That's just where else would they be, right? Um, I don't know. Up in the box, I don't know if it did him any favors. I feel like the play calling was atrocious. And we'll get into Billy's presser where he makes a comment and it makes you wonder, who is he talking to? More than likely, it's probably the players, given Billy. But this comment didn't sit with me well. I tweeted this as well. It says, wasn't sure the defense players still believe in each other. Now, what's funny is Ron Roberts had kind of these issues back at Auburn. There was a culture issue that he brought up, that they brought up, both pointing the finger at one another. We mentioned it on the show. I supported Ron when he came over. But now it's looking like maybe, you're same problem, different places. Might be you. Might start becoming the issue. I don't like this too early on. Again, week 4, we're already saying that, or week 4, we're 2-2. After week 4, we're already kind of throwing these things on the players, and I'm all about accountability and hold these guys accountable. But when you're calling, there's a 4th and 2, we're looking to get a big stop, and we've got 5 in the box, 4 on the line, and 1 single linebacker, and they've ran the ball down our throat up until this point. I wouldn't believe in anything either, right? I mean, you kind of start looking around, and you're probably told to hold accountability, and it's like I'm trying to hold myself accountable, and I don't know if it's the guys in the wrong spot or if we're in the wrong play type. And when you constantly get beat and you're constantly being put into a position to not succeed, then yeah, maybe he's probably, his statement may not be wrong, but why the statement? You have to ask yourself, if I'm wrong, why am I feeling the need to say this? And maybe he is. Maybe he is. Maybe this is his way of kind of taking a shot and trying to maybe rally troops a little bit. But I'm not a huge fan of it when the play calling hasn't been the greatest. And look, I think there's a lot of times when we would say last year, hey, play calling wasn't horrible, just we didn't execute it. When you're 4th and 2 and they have ran down your throat all day long, I think they had 260 plus running yards, which was an issue last year, seems to be an issue this year. I'm going to start putting on the play calling, right? And we'll talk more about it tomorrow on the Champs Corner with Stephen Harris, because somebody brought up, who called in as well, and Stephen Harris kind of confirmed that, look, the linemen, they were coming off their blocks and basically pinching their corners. The gaps weren't being filled properly by the linebacker. So there's going to be a lot of different breakdowns and thoughts on this. After we watch the film and kind of break it down a little bit more, we'll have better understanding. But I'm still not a fan of this comment here from Ron Roberts. Now, Bailey Napier had me and Cody fired up in our call-in show yesterday. We watched this at the end of it, where they asked him kind of just about the defense. Here's what he had to say.
I just want to see a little more scrap, a little more fight, in particular on defense in some of these situations that we had today. I mean, we got multiple opportunities to get off the field, and I just think we got to challenge the leadership, and we have to get a little bit more out of them. I think ultimately that's what's going to be. For us to have success in the future, we got to play complementary ball, and at some point, we got to play really good defense.
I mean, finally, a little spice, right? I posted this. Some people were like a little bit too late. You could argue that. Where was this? I don't know, 3 years ago, right? Day one. Where was this pizzazz? I liked this. To me, was a little frustration, right? Like everything was clicking, but this is on your side of the ball. He sat down with the defensive team this past week, which he typically doesn't do. He leaves it kind of off, leaves it away from himself. I did hear that on the announcement yesterday. So very interesting there. Blames it on leadership. If I know Billy, he's probably pointing to the top guys in the locker room. Again, Justice Boone being one of them. You wear the number 1 jersey. That's the bat signal that says I am him. And the guy got 17 snaps. Well, how can you, if that's your guy that you're looking towards leadership? Now Tyreek Sapp's probably another one. Derek Wingo. These guys that you claim to be leaders aren't getting a lot of snaps, which I'm not saying they should, but maybe there's a confusion in leadership based on the leadership, which ultimately falls back on you and the leadership, which is the coaches. So for me, I'm hoping this is more of a jab at the Ron Roberts and Austin Armstrong guys, because this is their team. That they should be leading this side of the ball. And it's looked atrocious week in and week out. And we've got in 2 weeks UCF, which is the number 1 rushing team in the country, with a running quarterback, mobile quarterback in KJ Jefferson. Thank goodness Blake Shapen didn't have the wheels like KJ does. And for the moment he didn't move, he's injured. He's out for the season, from what I saw. So I believe that's right. I'm confused with so many games, but I believe he got injured yesterday, and is out for the rest of the year, which is unfortunate for him. But clearly he's not one to move around too often, and he was running for his life yesterday because they weren't getting much success through the air, but on the ground, by golly, they were slicing and dicing us when any which way. And look, the thing that we continue to bring up, we continue to get frustrated about is it's the same things. It's the same errors that we've been talking about, discussing, bringing up week over week. Time management again, you're getting bulldozed going into the second half. There was a small opportunity there where the momentum, you almost gave it away, which we've talked about before. Florida does not do a great job of sucking into that momentum and doubling down on that. Mississippi State is driving. They see they have you in a defense that is working for them. They are just pounding and pounding the ball down your throat and moving down the football field. And we're getting to that minute mark where it's like, okay, you're probably not going to get the ball back, in 2-minute warnings and Billy Napier don't mix, right? So what are you saving these timeouts for? Call a timeout, let your D get some rest, bring the guys that need to be brought in, and let's stuff the run. Force them to throw the ball and allow them to play into this cornerback play that we've been hearing about all year. You get a tip pass, the clock stops anyways. That's just to me, that's day one stuff. And I've always been one to give Billy the benefit of the doubt, but we know where I stand with him lately after cheating on me, that I don't have the same blind trust in him as I once did. So those things are so concerning. What is the promising going in for 2 weeks? It looked like we made progress as a whole. I think special teams has been impeccable, right? Which is crazy to think too. That was the one hire that Billy went out and did. Always gets the guy from the Patriots that seems to be doing wonders for us on special teams. Defensively, though, you did a complete overhaul, and it seems like it's gotten worse. So you got to have a heart-to-heart in these next 2 weeks. You have the talent on the football field. Figure it out. You've got 2 weeks to figure it out. And I don't know if there's already a timeline for him, if you're not. But look, at this place, where my mind's at is like you're 2-2, right? As much as we would love to hate and say, hey, call for Billy Napier's head, there's still time. There's still time for you to figure this thing out. While you're here, make it worth something. Go get it done. Shout out to the Gators for getting a W. Shout out to Austin Barber for a little rushing touchdown. He's on the stat chart. You love seeing that. Shout out to DJ and Graham Mertz playing some phenomenal football alongside Trayon Webb and Jacoby Jackson. Hope you guys enjoyed today's show. If you did, smash the like button, subscribe. We'll see you guys tomorrow, Monday morning, Monday mashup, 9:35, and then at 8:05, we're going to have Jarvis Moss on. I almost forgot. We're going to have Jarvis Moss on tomorrow with Stephen Harris at Champs Corner. We'll see you guys then. Peace and love, baby.